So it's just weird. Like, it seems like he knows that very well. Like, rush these people to get guns. And what do you think is going to happen when these people obtain these guns? Well, I mean, you done scared the living hell out of them now. Now they got guns. Now they're ready for action. Because you said for them to be aware of these, people trying to, steal your kids and steal your jobs and steal your neighborhood and steal your money. Like, what do you think is going to happen? Hey, thank you for watching Power to the Pod, where we're committed to an intellectual integrity and a moral honesty. I'm your host, Superior, and once again, thank you for watching. Now, in this video, Mr. Tucker Carlson never ceases to surprise me with the amount of stupidity that continues to flow from his mouth. In this video, for whatever reason, he feels that it's smart to deflect his own strategies amongst other people. And it's just weird because people, including myself, has been calling him and others out in this whole entire fear mongering. They scare people. They talk about topics that really are minuscule in a lot of situations. They heighten it up. They magnify these situations into scaring their voters, into scaring their viewers to fear vote them. I don't know what other basic way to explain this. They try to steer them to the voting polls by fear, not by policies, not by good ideas, not by intellectual conversations. They do it only on fear, because one, fear is a definite responsive emotion that people have. Obviously, like when you're scared, you seem to want to act very responsively instead of postponing it or whatever. But it's just weird how Tucker Carlson is, for some reason, using his own strategy and trying to place it on other people. If you don't believe me, let's go ahead and watch the video and let's have this conversation.
Look, just to be clear, we're not against people, American citizens, carrying firearms, having firearms. We support it, including trans people. It's fine. But what you're watching here is not the exercise of the Second Amendment. What you're watching here is political hysteria, fear, ginned up on purpose with maximum dishonesty in order to get people in a state of agitation, armed people in a state of agitation. Doesn't matter if they're trans or not, whatever that is. It's the same template always. Scare the crap out of your voters, tell them that their lives are at risk, encourage them to get guns. How do you think that ends?
If it Tucker, come on. How many times, Mr. Tucker Carlson, how many times have you, with immigration, with suburbs, with minorities moving into suburbs, schooling kids, just about any political conversation is always steered in a direction of fear mongering? Tucker Carlson, you are the king of fear mongering. That's the only reason why you're in this position now, is because you have a skill of twisting stories and feeding it to your audience in a fear mongering way. That's the only thing you are useful for. So it's just weird. Like, it seems like he knows that very well. Like, rush these people to get guns. And what do you think is going to happen when these people obtain these guns? Well, I mean, you done scared the living hell out of them now. Now they got guns. Now they're ready for action. Because you said for them to be aware of these, people trying to, steal your kids and steal your jobs and steal your neighborhood and steal your money. Like, what do you think is going to happen? I've said this a million times that you do this. Now it's a problem because now this one trans person just flip their wig. I mean, not. No pun intended. But they went crazy and now they want to shoot up schools again. Come on, Carlson. This is straight out of your playbook.
Encourage them to get guns. How do you think that ends?
If it is a template, let's be clear, it's the daily template for the rundown of his and every other program on Fox News. Yeah. He's suddenly found a way or an opportunity to have a problem with it. The idea that you might scare a group of people so they go and grab some guns and think that they might have to use them to save their life. He has given that call any number of times in any number of monologues, but finally he has a problem with it. Why? Because it involves trans people, it involves gay people, the LGBTQ community. Because apparently some fearing the harassment, the attacks, the possible death that they're facing with these protests from people like the Proud Boys and neo-Nazis showing up, toting assault rifles of their own. Some people think that probably they should have weapons to defend themselves. And he thinks it's fine. He says it's fine. The idea of people having guns is fine to him. Do you know how opposed he has to be to it to describe people getting guns as just fine? In any event, NPR has done interviews with some groups, including Rainbow Reload, of people who are getting guns, practicing with them to defend themselves.
That's
Take a look at this.
One of the members, Sharon, recently transitioned.
And I went from concealed carry every once in a while when I was sort of feeling it to every single day, because reading the news, having a few experiences, realizing that I've gone from old cis male white upper middle class, really no real fears about anything, to there are people that just looking at me will want to hurt me.
There's that individual fear of what may happen simply existing in public. But for some, there's also a more organized and ominous threat, including a neo-Nazi group now active in New England that's targeted trans people.
The neo-Nazi group active in New England, the least right-wing region in America. Every state is blue, but there's a neo-Nazi group that's terrifying everybody.
So first of all, I think we should.
First off, I love how only Tucker Carlson can laugh at, like, oh, a neo-Nazi group in New England. Like, first off, what was funny? I totally missed the joke. Maybe that's above my head, but what is funny about that? I don't get it, but that's neither here or there. But the problem is, and we're gonna go ahead and end it off with here. The problem is, the left does it too. The left loves to fearmonger in a way to where they're putting their voters into a situation that's not healthy, obviously. Nothing wants to be based off of policies, based off of legislation. Nothing wants to be based off that. It wants to be based off fear. And the left does it too. But the right does it in such a way to where not only will it try to get people to the polls, maybe, but it will get people to gun stores quicker. And if everybody walking around with a gun, all, feared and just paranoid, what do you think is going to happen? We got a group of people thinking that trans people are hunting their kids down. And then you got trans people thinking that they're being hunted down. What do you think is going to happen? Everyone. Then we got people thinking that immigrants are crossing the borders, ready to hijack their schools and their jobs. So everyone's all heightened. Then you got, minorities worried about police officers thinking that they just gonna pull them over and shoot them. So, I mean, everyone's here. Everyone's working at an 8 to 9 level emotionally because of media. we need to, just how we need to hold our politicians accountable for the words that they say, we need to hold media personnel, including myself. But I'm definitely not mainstream, at least not yet. But these mainstream organizations need to be held accountable way more. Now, I'm not talking about just pulling their advertisements and donors. I'm talking about shutting them down, because you can't continue to fearmonger and then have no repercussions for the dishonesty that's being spewed by some of these people. I mean, am I wrong? Am I wrong? Am I wrong for thinking that the media as a whole, I'm not just talking about Fox News, I'm not just talking about CNN, everyone needs to be held accountable? I understand, the Second Amendment. I understand the freedom of speech. I get it. Okay, I got you. But at some point, people need to be held accountable for what they say. But once again, if I am wrong, let me know down in the comments down below, and let's have that conversation.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to join the conversation by subscribing. Make sure to tune in next time, and like always, power to you, power to me, power to the people, power to the pod.